Stop scrolling if you are having difficulty explaining to people why you are no contact with your parent or parents or family. I hit all those, by the way. I've been no contact for over 30 years. I went no contact with my mother when I was 23 after an on and off terrible relationship. And then when I was in my mid-20s and in therapy, I ended up going no contact with my grandparents, her creators, and the whole family system discarded me as a result. It's important to mention that in the period between my mother and my grandparents, none of those family members were calling to check on me, see how I was. I was 17 years old with a baby. Nobody was checking on me. Nothing. When I went no contact with my grandparents, you would have thought that I had actually offed somebody. I'm trying to be careful with language here on social media platforms because we get, zapped for saying certain words. Not for exploiting children, by the way, just saying the words around that. Yeah, okay. So anyway, if you're having difficulty explaining why you're no contact, the first thing I want to tell you is that you don't owe anybody information. You don't. You're not in debt. You don't owe a debt of information, and you certainly don't owe somebody an explanation who isn't in support of you. It doesn't mean they have to agree with your decision or support your decision. Being in support of you means that they're not judging you for your decision. They're not automatically assuming that you're doing something to somebody else, like your parent, for example. Somebody who is coming at you to justify behaviors that they weren't exposed to. You don't owe them access to you. That's the first thing I want you to know. I want you to give yourself permission to say, this isn't a topic I am willing to discuss. That's it. End of story. Done. But it's actually none of your business. It is my business because your mother comes to me and she's hurting so much. Well, then go help her. Go be her daughter or her son. It drives me crazy. Can you tell? If you feel like you need to say something, I want you to learn the art of asking questions. There's a better way to tell somebody it's none of your business when it's none of your business doesn't work. Or there's another way, maybe not better. I do consider it better. For me, I'm at a point in my journey in my life that if somebody questions me about something that is indeed none of their business, because I know that I don't owe people information about my decisions in my life, then I'll just tell them I'm not willing to discuss this topic. If they don't respect my boundaries, they're likely going to be somebody who's not very close in my life anyway. I respect boundaries. I expect my boundaries to be respected. I have boundaries for myself. My boundary for myself is I treat myself with love, with respect. 3 things that I look for in every relationship I have: safety, being seen, and feeling cherished. That's how I treat myself. That's how I show up in the world. And that is what I accept from other people. Not expect, because expectations set up for disappointment. Anywhoosie, questions. Why do you want to know? Can be your first question. Well, I'm just curious. Oh, okay. Well, I don't really feel like talking about that. Yeah, but I was talking to your mom and she was worried about you and I just want to know that you're okay. Okay, but then ask me if I'm okay. That's not a question, I know, but that is a response to that. Well, no, what I mean is what would it hurt you to get her a birthday card or to pick up the phone or just send a text, let her know you're okay. Why don't you let her know I'm okay? That's a question. You see me. Do I look okay? You're worried about her. Do I look okay? What you're doing in that moment is going against the narrative because you're being rational and you are okay. In fact, you're probably better than okay because nobody's setting you on fire anymore. Other questions. Why is it so important to you that I'm in a relationship with someone who harms me? Well, how bad can it be? That's not an answer to the question I just asked you. Why is this so important to you? Why do you feel like you are entitled to ask me for information about a decision that I've made? Why is this your relationship? Is this your relationship? Why are you so worried? Well, you're going to regret it. You only have one mother. You see, I've heard everything, right? Okay. Well, if that's the case, I'll live with that. Why is that so important to you? Why are you so worried about something I may or may not regret? Throw questions back at them and pause and wait and then repeat the question when they don't answer the question. What you're doing is you're creating a boundary without being outward about creating the boundary. And the boundary is that you are unflappable, that you will not go on the defensive, that you will not allow them to hijack your decision making or your emotions. And the more you practice throwing questions back when somebody puts you on the hot seat, the better equipped you are just to walk through life in general. So it doesn't just apply to these situations. When you are a person who grew up in a narcissistic family system in particular, the pressure that you feel to make everybody happy and well is immense. That's your conditioning. Your conditioning is to make yourself small and unseen, except for when you're providing pleasure for others. People pleasing. You're adapting to your environment to be safe. You need those skills. If you grew up with a narcissistic parent, you need those chameleon-like skills to survive from day to day. And part of that is you abandoning yourself and giving up whatever people ask you for. It's a conditioned response. So as adults, in order to make sure that we don't continue to do that, we have to have something to put in place of that behavior. And the easiest thing to do is to be quiet, practice that pause, take the space, whatever you need to do. Some people don't like the words practice the pause because some parents have leveraged that. So whatever your motto is, for me, when somebody's coming at me, I can feel that in my body, right? And that's my early warning sign. I use my mechanisms now, my survival mechanisms, as my superpowers. So it's kind of my early warning sign that, high alert, danger, even though I know they can't really hurt me. But my body is telling me you're in danger, right? That's my immediate sign that I need to go, listen, don't speak. Practice the pause. Listen, don't speak. Take a moment. Step back. Take a beat, take a breath, whatever you got to do. You can tap. You can do it over here. Whatever it is that you have to do. And then my next thing is, especially if I'm feeling defensive, is to look for a question I can ask or just to set a boundary. I don't know you information or, it's none of your business. It took me a long time to get to the point where I could just go, I'm not engaging in this conversation. And how I got to this point was by using questions and throwing it back on their plate rather than trying to, stand in my ground that really, it literally is none of anybody else's business. Practice the pause, take the space, ask a question. You do not owe anybody access or information, period. That's what you need to remember. Okay? I hope this is helpful. What are things that you would like to be able to heal from or grow into, or, I'm trying to find words here. I don't know what's with me today. I've been my own word police and it's not going well. I don't even know how I got through this whole video. Anywho, what are things that you would like tips and tricks, whatever it is, what are you struggling with? I know boundaries is a huge one for a lot of us, and there's lots of different ways to look at boundaries. There's lots of different ways to set boundaries. So maybe you have a question around that, or, things that might help you build confidence. Whatever it is, drop it in the comment section and I will address them as I see them. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. We do heal and grow together. And the more that we connect, the more that we share our stories, the more we grow, the more we heal. Hiding in the dark doesn't help. It harms, right? I can tell you from personal experience over the last 5 years of doing a lot of content creation like this, that I have connected so many dots and healed from so many things and have far less triggers, and the triggers that I do have, instead of being heartbreaking, they're more like head shaking now. So it just goes to show you, or it's definitely shown me, that the more that we talk about our experiences, we're not wallowing in them, we're not reliving them, we're processing them, and processing them out loud is really helpful. And the other thing that's been really helpful for me personally is writing. Writing has been tremendous for me, and it happened that I wrote a book about, I don't know, I guess it's going on 11, 12 years now, and I never anticipated how writing that was going to help me heal and process so many of the traumas that I didn't even know I was carrying. So if nothing else, if you can't speak out or you don't have somebody to speak to, write. And remember, nobody else is going to read what you write unless you want them to. And just let it flow and then let it go. And don't burn what you write. Go back to it like in 3-month, 4-month increments, because it's really good to see where you were and where you are. We forget to look at our progress because we're so busy looking for a finish line. There's no finish line to healing. It's about growth. And the more that we look at it that way, the less focused on where we want to be, and the more focused we are on what we've accomplished and where we are in the present moment we can be. And that's really, really, really important, especially for survivors of narcissistic abuse who feel oftentimes like they're behind. And whenever I hear clients say to me, I'm so behind, I'm not up with my peers, and I'm like, what does that even mean? You have different life experiences. How can you even measure that? What does that mean? You might be light years ahead in this way and behind in this way. And okay, can you continue growing? Are you going to continue to work on it? Well, then you're not behind.